friends. I am so excited to have both of you. We were just griping a little bit about it being Saturday morning, but I will spend any time with both of you that I can. So I'm pumped. We've been jumping back into some of our past content. We started with issue 1. We just did issue 2 last week, and now we're coming to issue 3, which people always ask if I have a favorite issue or a favorite magazine. And I will never say I have a favorite, but Women in Culture issue 3, like, she hit, and I loved it. It's so fun, and we also got to work with so many different people. Raheema, you worked with us twice in that because we included your branding as part of our mental health and culture with our interns, which was such a cool experience. And that group of interns actually just graduated this past May, which is so crazy to me. A couple of them reached out to me and they were talking about the internship and they were talking about you and getting to meet you and see you on set, like doing your thing. And it's been so fun. And Hannah, you've been a returning writer for us time and time again, and we love having you on. So thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So we're going to jump into it. You guys both wrote this incredible piece on empowerment through modesty and nudity. And I feel like I text you guys about this like once a quarter. That article is still one of our top articles on the website. If you haven't read it yet, we will include it in the description below. But it's so cool because I think it's such an ongoing conversation. And I also think that as we get older, like our style changes, we go through different seasons of life where we feel more confident in different things. And so we want to go into different styles and just try different things as we experience new people and new cultures and all of the different things that make our lives so beautiful and so rich. And so, Hannah, I'm going to start with you. We were out for a walk. I think it was one of our like coffee tea crawls in the middle of winter, ironically, middle of winter when this comes up.
Mhm.
And we were talking about this Women in Culture issue, and you were kind of talking through what it would look like to do a piece on empowerment through nudity. Do you mind sharing a little bit behind that idea conception?
Yeah. So I just, oh God. I just made it up on the spot, okay?
The way you came to me with a pitch, I thought you'd been hemming and hawing on this. Okay, keep going.
I just find it, a lot of times on the internet and in the workplace, especially, and just kind of in everyday life, women in general, just, it doesn't matter what they do, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And me being on the side of, I love showing skin. And it's not, and I, my favorite art pieces are naked women. I love to see just women kind of just being natural in their setting. But also you're kind of relegated to that, like in your own home, which is fine. I'm the naked neighbor. Hi. But taking it out into public, it's always just feels like everyone's kind of looking down on you, like, why are you doing that? This isn't the place for that. And I'm like, well, why isn't it? Because men are shirtless all the time. I went to band camp. I was in color guard. And when you're on blacktop in the middle of summer, it's at least 10 to 15 degrees hotter on the blacktop. And all of the people, all the men in the band were able to wear their shorts, and us women, either in the color guard or in the band, we couldn't even like wear a sports bra. We had to wear something that like covered us, which honestly is kind of dangerous when you're overheating in the middle of summer. And it's, to me, I'm like, being able to show skin is not necessarily about being sexual. It's just, I'm just trying to exist, and my body is not inherently sexual. Like, women's bodies are not inherently sexual. They're just bodies like everyone else's. So it's really just trying to, I guess, push that narrative of I can be sexual, but I'm also just existing, and they can be different things, or they can be the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think we also touched a little bit on like the female versus male gaze and like dressing for comfort and those different ways. I also appreciate that you said women can, whatever we do, like it's normally wrong to some man or somebody who's ignorant or someone who doesn't know. Because Raheema, I know you and I have talked about this, especially when you were starting HijabSoForeign, because it's like people don't understand like why I cover or like what it means to me and what modesty, like the empowerment that comes from it as well. And I so appreciated this conversation and like the mirror image of these two articles side by side, because it really is like you can be on one end of the spectrum or the other, and no matter what, people will be like, what are you doing, why? Raheema, do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of hearing Hannah talk, it is reminding me of, on the flip side, how a lot of women will be policed on exposing themselves a little bit more. A lot of times, as like Muslim women who cover, we also get policed by other, oftentimes maybe Muslims or just people who are would consider us to not be dressing as modest, and who a lot of times will put us in a box of saying this is exactly how hijab should look, this is exactly how Muslim women should look, we should be dressing like, I don't know, an all black, fully covered, and then they will still find something. And I think that's the problem, especially when it comes to like social media, is that I don't even know if they're bots anymore. I think they're bots. I don't even know, because I'm like, there could not be this many people who are putting so much hate and dogging and saying, this is horrible. What type of woman are you? You're trying to show yourself, you're trying to expose yourself, you're not a good Muslim woman, or whatever it may be, because a little strip of her hair is showing, or her dress is just too form fitting. And just wearing hijab alone is hard, like especially in the Western world. I've never grown up in a Muslim country, so I'm sure it's much more easier, but I'm sure there's still a level of policing in a sense that happens there. But I know growing up here, and I know being on social media and seeing how much hate women get, and just also just experience of like family and friends or whatever it may be, or in your community, of being like, that's not hijab. Like that just blatant statement of that's not hijab. As if there's not like a rule book picture, even in our religion, that shows like, you open the holy book and you see like, oh, this is how it's exactly supposed to look. No, it's like simple, like cover this.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like, don't like expose yourself. Don't try to make it look more than it needs to. But at the same time, we still get berated and tore up trying. And I think that's the part that makes it a lot very difficult for women, is if they try, it's not enough. If they don't try, they need to try harder. So it's kind of on the flip side, is like, dang, better off some people might even say you're better off like not even wearing it. And it's like, dang, wow. Like, but then if I take it off, then it's I'm getting called all types of names if I do take it off. So it's trying to find a balance and trying to, I guess, block out that noise and people's opinions, and take whatever advice that you find beneficial in your life, as you can. And again, kind of like you're saying, like we all have like different styles and journeys, and what we were wearing 10 years ago is not what we're wearing today. So it's just kind of like an ever changing, like evolving. I think styles just evolving even within ourselves. So
Yeah, agreed. Somebody said to me recently that you can have space to hear people, but choose who you listen to and whose voices that you keep.
that's good advice. I like
It
that.
is good advice. Easier said than done, as is all good advice. But I think it's surrounding yourself with people who empower you and also encourage you to be your best self. And I think when you do that, you're able to have more of that voice in your head. Obviously, having people who like hold you accountable for things that you want to be held accountable for, but also having people that recognize like you are doing your best and you are trying and putting your best self forward, I think is always so important. But yeah, it's women, damned if we do, damned if we don't, no matter what the freaking scenario. It's exhausting.
Yeah, they
I
hate
think
us,
it
whoever
has,
they is.
yeah, I think it has a lot to do with attention. And if
Mm,
we call attention to ourselves,
Mm,
they, the proverbial
right.
they, don't like it. So if I'm showing too much skin, or if you're wearing something colorful that's drawing attention to you,
mhm.
they're like, "Mm, but why?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
it's also oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I guess like being a relatively new, I still consider myself a new mom. Um, Kind of in the conversation, I was thinking of like breastfeeding publicly.
Mm.
I know in a lot of like other countries, like outside of America, it's pretty normal to do
Yeah.
that. And I know recently, like I've seen a woman who was, she's probably like Latino. I'm not sure which specific background, but I saw her doing that at the gym to her baby, and everyone around was like visibly like uncomfortable. They were very uncomfortable, but I'm like, it's kind of interesting because I'm like, at the same gym, you'll see women wearing like the tightest like booty shorts and like
Mhm.
bra pretty much working out. And it's okay. But I'm like, but this woman just like casually like just feeding her baby, and everyone's like, I can't believe like she
Mhm.
exposed herself. And I'm like, wow, she just feeding the baby. Like,
Yeah, and I think we kind of get into that a little bit when we talk about like Hannah, you brought this up one time on some other tea run, but it was talking about the male gaze and how there's this thing that like if we aren't doing something to serve whatever larger narrative and
mm,
it's not serving them, whoever the them is here, then it's like, well, why are you doing that? Like, why are you exposing your breast to give life if not for my enjoyment? Like, and it's such a weird, you know what I mean though? Because I feel like you can go to a sports bar. I'm gonna date myself and sound very like I haven't been to a sports bar because I don't really go to them. But you go to a sports bar and like you see like the pictures of the girls on the posters or whatever, and like everyone's fine with that. And like, those babies are barely hanging in.
Mhm.
But you change the situation and suddenly it's how dare you? How dare you do that for something that like brings me no joy? It's such a weird and like you said, Raheema, like you can be at the gym almost in the same showing of body and everyone's fine, but then you do that and it's like, why?
Mhm.
It's just silly. It's silly. But I'm gonna turn the conversation a little bit back towards what we do and all the incredible things that both of you do, because you started a brand in college, which continues to blow my mind. If you haven't yet, read her article from issue 1 talking about the beginning of HijabSoForeign. And that stemmed from a place of empowerment and expression of self. You've talked about how, as you were getting older and finding who you were as a Muslim woman, you wanted to still be able to express your sense of fashion and your identity and all the vibrant pieces of you. So let's talk about Hijab So Foreign. It too stemmed from a place of empowerment and expression of self. And in all of your verbiage, you've encouraged that it's for everyone, anyone who wants to cover or enjoys fashion. How do you see modesty playing a similar role in culture today?
really good question. I definitely feel like it has evolved big time since then. And I know it makes it seem like we're so much older, but when we do the math, the
Don't do
years
the
are on us
math.
now. I think it has definitely evolved a lot more. I think there's a lot more people who are more aware of what hijab is. There's a lot more people who have been exposed to the things. In the fashion world, you see it a lot more often. You see big brands, Adidas, Nike, and stuff like that, who have kind of created more fashionably inclusive clothing to serve such a big community, which is Muslim women. So I think it's really, I guess, expanded, and I love to see it even since then, because I think at that time I just thought it was never gonna get to this level, and I'm so happy that it has. Okay, a lot of brands have began to serve more women who are wanting to dress more modestly. I myself have been able to kind of shop with more companies that are not specifically like Muslim-owned brands, just because they have become a lot more inclusive, and the price point is great. And then I'm also seeing more models that are of Muslim descent as well, which is really exciting for me to see. So, I mean, I think just even with my brand, I am finding myself trying to create more content, not just more so to educate necessarily about what hijab is, but also just mainly kind of make women who are wearing hijab feel more comfortable, feel more beautiful in it, by kind of showcasing more like styling, the tutorial videos, showing how you can wear different types of fabrics and things like that, wearing it with different types of outfits, and showing women who dress in whatever modest way or whatever way they do, how they're kind of styling their hijabs as well. So it's definitely been a little bit of a shift since the initial start, and I'm really excited to see how much farther and how much more accepting companies in the world are towards modest fashion. And I'm just hoping that my brand can continue kind of following within that path and journey. And I'm excited to see where I land and where other brands land as well.
I love that. And I think it's so cool too that because of the larger brands taking some of this on, that like you don't have to do as much educating. I think you still educate in a beautiful way and very organically. Because I know when we first met, like I did not have a lot of knowledge on honestly much. We were in college, I didn't know a lot, but it was so cool to just talk about it. And I love that you're able to have your brand be more from this place of empowerment. Not that education isn't empowerment, but it's not all on you now to educate why you have your brand. You're able to educate on like here's how you can wear it in all these different ways. I think it's really cool too, like you said, like Nike, like these really big brands are like showing more people, general, period. Because I've seen that. I feel like Savage, Fenty, Rihanna, just she crushes it every day of the week for me. I think I did my capstone on Fenty Beauty. Like, I love the way that all of her brands, from skincare to makeup to like lingerie, clothing, is so inclusive of so many different people. I
Yeah.
remember seeing an amputee model and just easy, like, there was nothing called to it, and I think that that's the beautiful part too, that it's no longer like, "Look, the first Muslim woman to ever do this one thing," because now it's just part of what you see, and I love that we're starting to get past. I mean, I wanna celebrate every first and every win for everyone always, but it's really cool to not feel like it's so spotlighted and that it's part of just like regular programming now, because I think that that's what we've been wanting. We've been wanting this continued regular representation of all of us in spaces that we are already in, but we haven't seen ourselves reflected in.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, it definitely takes a weight off the shoulder of not having to always explain it, but at the same time, just being kind of like the walking image of like a Muslim woman, and visibly like we're wearing
Mhm.
hijab, so we're the first, we're like on the forefront. So like I said, I always tell people I never have an issue with like answering questions or anything like that. But also like Google doesn't have a problem answering it either. But I mean, I still, even what I've been kind of working on within these past few days, is kind of creating, just on my website I'm gonna be working on more blogs and more like kind of posts that people can kind of go to. I finally linked the articles and the blogs that I've done with more as well, so that people can kind of click, access it, and go straight to the website to read it. But also just kind of creating some more content, so that when people are doing whatever search, what is hijab, they can
Mhm.
immediately come to my site and kind of read a little bit more. And then if they want to find out more what products we have as well, they have that as well. But even I would say within the hijab space and hijab businesses, there is still an issue of representation in regards to seeing more black and brown models that are representing these clothing brands. A lot of the biggest and most profitable brands, unfortunately, kind of limit themselves in the types of models they use. And this is something I've heard expressed a lot through like influencers and stuff, or like people who are kind of trying to, get those brand sponsorships, is not not getting those opportunities because they don't look like that slim, lighter toned Arab woman, a Middle Eastern woman, for example. So kind of looking for more opportunities for them to kind of be showcased. So hopefully I'm just hoping my brand can continue kind of showcasing the diversity and inclusivity with women.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And I mean, you do it in such a beautiful way. And I think while there's been a lot of strides made, there's many steps to go. And I'm excited to continue seeing your brand champion a lot of that. I'm going to open this question up to both of you. What does empowerment mean to you? Hannah, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, no.
I know it's a big question.
What?
It's a big
It's a big
question.
Yeah, it is. Empowerment to me is honestly like it's a big word. Like when you say it, it just feels really big. But for me, it's kind of something small. It's just feeling like myself. Like I feel empowered when I feel like myself. So if I'm in a setting where, I'm kind of being a wallflower or, just kind of hanging back, or I don't feel like I have the knowledge or ability to like do what I want to do, like I'm not going to feel empowered. But if I'm in a setting where I feel comfortable speaking up, like that is empowerment to me. Just like being myself. If I have an event to go to or something and I want to wear a certain outfit, but I then have to take a step back and I'm like, well, wait, can I wear this outfit? Like that's not empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just all about being myself in that sense.
I love that. And I think it's too like finding those spaces where you feel like there's space for you to be yourself. Because I think as I've gotten older, I'm like, wow, why do I keep going back to like the same restaurant, the same like social events? And I'm like, oh, it's because they're making space for me where I don't feel stressed out the whole time I'm there because I can't be who I am. So I love that definition. Raheema, what does it mean to you?
When Hannah mentioned like it sounds like a big word, I'm like, yeah, it does actually. Like, I think it's just
It's a very long word, technically.
yeah, it is. But I mean, I think it is. Yeah, I definitely do still think it is big, and everyone's form of empowerment is definitely different. I think empowerment for me is, I don't want to say necessarily living in your truth, but kind of just doing and feeling confident and feeling beautiful, doing whatever it is, despite, I guess, what other people are saying. I think it is empowering for a woman to take advice. I think it's empowering for a woman to make the well-needed changes, to put herself in a position where she's growing and accomplishing and reaching whatever goals she has. And it doesn't always have to be necessarily despite obstacles. I don't think we always have to face obstacles and on our path to empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
I think whatever way, like, I feel confident doing this, I feel beautiful wearing this, to me feels, I guess empowering when I'm in spaces where I feel like, kind of like what Hannah was saying, like comfortable enough to speak up, to wear what I'm wearing, to not feel little. I think is when I'm kind of like, I guess, feeling empowered. And then I always kind of mention that I have younger sisters. I'm pretty active in my community too, so sometimes often hearing people like, give compliments or being like, I love what you're doing, or like, keep doing it. I'm like, really? Like, I'm like, oh my God, like that's beautiful. Like, I feel empowered when they're just kind of giving me those like words of affirmation, when I don't think that I'm doing enough.
Yeah. That's amazing. Both of you are incredible. And how can our community and our listeners tuning in, how can they keep up with both of you?
So you can find me on Instagram at hannah.jonelle. And hopefully someone will spell that out for you.
We'll include it in the link.
I also have a blog that I can't tell you the URL because I don't know what it is. But it's linked in my
work on that.
I've changed it a lot recently.
Okay. We'll include that link below as well.
Giving those Tumblr changes, like that's.
Oh, I missed Tumblr.
Those were the days.
I know.
Okay, how can I keep up with you?
Yeah, everyone can find me at HijabSoForeign, on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook. My website is also the same name as well. And it'll be the same way as well for now until hopefully I'm planning on rebranding. So that's kind of just throwing that out there real quick. I'm looking forward to kind of rebranding and even changing the name. For reasons just that I think that a lot of people are being a lot more educated on hijab, and I don't want to just have, I guess, my brand just limited to hijabs. I'm hoping to kind of expand the product, expand my offerings, and not even just to women, hopefully to men as well. So I guess stay on the lookout, stay tuned, and follow all the pages so that you can be part of the rebranding. And yeah.
That is
So
awesome. It's
exciting.
so exciting. Yeah, so much to come. I love it. You have like two marketing girlies on the call right now. I mean, well, you're in marketing too. So love to hear it. I'm sure we'll have a deep dive at some point because I'm thrilled. But thank you both so much for joining this morning. I'm so excited. If you want to dig deeper with us, head over to our Patreon where we will be deep diving into a little bit more. So with that, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you guys.